sunshine in here. So hi, today I got in my shipment from Wise Owl, and I'm really excited to try out their chalk synthesis colors, as well as their glazes. They do have quite a few glazes available. The one I'm using today is called Chameleon, and it is like a dark pinkish kind of color, like a dark rose. And I'm also using this one is called Black Pearl. So this is the Black Pearl glaze, and I'm doing this over the black I have already painted on this jewelry armoire. So I wanted to do some fun blending because I haven't really blended much with chalk paint in a while. The base colors I have on here are Petal. This is Petal, and then I have the 1 hour enamel called Carbon for the black. You can see it's actually not black, it's just a very dark gray tone to it. And I added a bit of the glaze already, but I wanted to show you how I would blend it in more to get a really pretty background for a transfer that I'm adding on as an extra detail. I've decoupaged the sides with the redesigned decoupage paper. So I wanted it to complement the decoupage paper while also being a bit, what's the right word? Kind of like a grungy romance, if that exists. Like a grungy sort of feminine vibe going on. All right, just checking. Okay. So I'm going to add on a little bit of the Chameleon. Let's see what brush I'll use. I might use the brown brush for this one. This is my Klingon brush. It's the one with the round bristle end. So I'm just dabbing like a tiny bit of the glaze on here with a damp brush and just brushing it on here lightly. So if you have difficulties with blending, using a glaze is actually a very good idea because it's not thick, it's thin enough to give you a really smooth bit of color over it without being streaky, so you can just kind of like play around with it. And it will give you a really subtle and yet apparent color. I'm just adding this on here, a little bit on the side, and do a bit on the top. I know you can't see the top, but I'm adding a bit onto the top part as well. So getting that, can actually add a bit of water to move the glaze over before it's dry and get it a bit. I want it to be sort of like an abstract, romantic look. So not really going anywhere in particular with the blended coloring. Just want it to look a bit abstract, kind of like a dreamy sort of blending going on. So this is just the glaze, the Ysal glaze, and I find their glaze to be kind of pretty opaque as far as glazes go. I've used other kinds of glazes and they are a lot more transparent and thinner, which is fine depending on the look that you're going for. But I think with the Ysal glaze, you can get any of the shades and sort of layer the glaze on top of your base layer of your chalk paint, and it'll give you like a really nice blended look on top fairly easily without having to mess around with you know, adding more water, misting more onto the surface, the stuff that you typically have to do when you're blending two different colors of chalk paint. So like you can see, this is very subtle, it's soft, and the more I add on to here, the more opaque it is, but it's not extremely vibrant, like it's not extremely noticeable, I guess. Sorry, struggling with words today, but so, you know, it gives you just like the soft blending that a lot of people really love, and with very minimal sort of brushwork to it. So I would highly recommend for blending, if you can, to maybe like try out a glaze and see how that goes. And if it works a lot more easier, you know, that's awesome. So for the rest of the black areas, I'm going to put on the black pearl. So I have the, you know, the black kind of like smoky right here. I did the blending with the petal earlier, and this is just what you're seeing. This is the 1 hour enamel called Carbon. That's a Ysal color. So right now I'm doing this black pearl glaze. You won't be able to really see it on camera, but it's a you know, shiny sort of metallic look to it. Sorry, I'm gonna wipe back a little bit of this because I still wanted the blendy look. So yeah, you see, you can like wipe back a bit and that softens it too. But it's just so easy to work with. So I'm going to be painting over the Carbon, the black pearl, and to give it that shiny pearlescent look, just for some more depth, and plus metallics are always fun to use. So I'm just brushing that over here and get some on here. Let's see, maybe a bit on the sides here. I still have to get the decoupage paper down more firmly, but I'll be sealing the decoupage paper with the Ysal matte varnish, which is extremely durable, and that will help it adhere as well and also protect it. So see, just a bit of that, and then just kind of brush it back like that, and super pretty. Okay, so that is kind of what I'm going for. Maybe add a little bit more lightness in some areas up here. Let's add a little bit of lightness here, because I want it just to be kind of a dreamy sort of look to it. So not a lot of blending. I had to play around with it first before I shared it with you. Next time I'll do a more thorough video. But just wanted to give you an idea of how it appears, the glaze. So the top that I'm brushing on that you can't quite see looks like that. So I was just brushing on a little bit of the petal more, and then I already added the Chameleon glaze onto the surface and just giving it some depth there. And it does not take long to dry at all, especially when you're doing it on thin. Sorry, there was just needed some more of the paint. On. This already has a bit of the black pearl, so it's already shaded. You don't want a lot of the color on your brush when you're trying to do the blending that transitions over so it's soft. You only want like a tiny bit, and just do it gently and it will look soft. Add a bit more of the Chameleon onto the sides, like that. A bit more here. So I'm just dabbing it. I'm not using a lot at all. A little glaze will go a long way. And I just like to kind of like brush it over lightly too on the surface to give it that softness as well. So this gives you the pretty blended, smooth blended look. Like that. I think I'm good with that. Just let it dry a bit, and then I'll be adding the transfer on the front, and also perhaps some roses. I haven't decided yet how florally I want this to go. But yeah, that's a really quick tutorial on blending with the glaze. As you can see, it's really easy. It doesn't take much effort. You don't have to use a bunch of water to mist it to thin it out like you would with chalk paints, and it just gives you that really subtle look, unless you want a totally different color, like maybe they have a blue glaze too. So if I did blue over this or patina, there would be a sharper contrast, but it would still give you that soft blending of colors on top of it, because it's not very thick. It's opaque enough to give you color, but not too opaque so that it's really like it's just giving you that thin layer of coloring over it, and not the thick layer you would use with chalk paint, if that makes sense. Right, so blending with glazes, and I hope it gives you some confidence when it comes to trying out some blending.